moving here, and if those that are delayed may not bother you afterwards. May I request you to join me in reciting Surah Al-Fatiha and 3 times Qul Huwallah. The reason we recite 3 times Qul Huwallah is that the thawab of 1 Qul Huwallah is equal to 1/3 of the Quran. So when we recite 3 times, it is like giving the thawab of the whole Quran. So may I request you recite Surah Al-Fatiha and 3 Qul Huwallah for Sayyid Zamin Ali Jaffri, Ibn Shakir Hussain Jaffri, Sister Samana Khatun bint Sibte Ahmad, Iqbal Ahmad ibn Ghulam Hussain, Ghulam Muhammad ibn Muhammad Hussain, Kaniz Zahra bint Taqi Naqwi, and all our marhumin. Al-Fatiha. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون. والحمد لله على رسول المسدد المحمود الأحمد بالقاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في كتاب المجيد والفرقان الحميد وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقل رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. We are gathered here for the Esaal-e-Sawab of the marhumin of the Bani Majlis. May Allah grant them maghfirah and may Allah grant all our marhumin maghfirah. There is a hadith that says that you might be a good child, a good son or a daughter during the lifetime of your parents. But if you forget them after they have passed away, then you will be raised amongst those who are of the ungrateful ones. So this majlis that we are holding is one way in which we remember our marhumin and try and grant them whatever tawab they can. For their accounts are closed except what we can send them on now. And it is very important, therefore, that whatever we do, we always do remember our marhumin, whether it is in the form of majlis, whether it is in the form of sadaqat, whether it is in the form of hajj or ziyarat or whatever that we do. Anything, any good that we do, ensure that you do it for the Esaal-e-Sawab of the marhumin. And may Allah grant them all maghfirah, inshallah. So this is a good thing that we have, and we need to inculcate that in our children and make sure that they understand what this is all about. For remember, life is too short. Today it is the parents who need us. Tomorrow we will be the ones that will need it. If we don't pass it on, there will be nobody to pass it on back to us. It is something that is of mutual benefit to all. The other thing is, what a beautiful rendition of the Marsiyah. And this is something that we have within our systems, that we have the Marsiyah before we have any Majlis or so. And this is extremely important, and sometimes when the Marsiyah is recited, I wonder what more can I say, what has already been said. However, the message that I want to give is for those Marsiyah Khans who have such beautiful voices, may Allah bless you and grant you the ajr for all this that you do. There is a story from Imam Rida alayhi salam. That one day Du'abal, one of his companions, visited him, and Imam says, "Oh Du'abal, do you know what time this is?" He says, "Mawla, it is the month of Adha of Imam Hussain salam, it is the 1st of Muharram." So Imam says, "Oh Du'abal, have you written any qasida, any ash'ar, any marsiyah, have you written about that?" Du'abal was a very famous poet, And Imam says, yes, indeed, Dawbal says, yes, I have. So Imam ordered that the Majlis be set up, organized right away in his household. And when the time was ready, everybody was ready. He says, Dawbal, proceed to the member. And Dawbal says, Mawla, in your presence, I sit on the member. It is not acceptable. It is not a thought that crosses my mind. He says, no, this is the sharaf of those who recite for Imam Hussain. And then he recited a very beautiful, which is part of Arabic literature. The point I'm trying to get across is don't lose this. And not only not lose this one, for those of you who are blessed with beautiful voices and beautiful renditions, pass it on to the children. Yes, the way will change. It might turn into English. It might turn into... The language is not important. Don't get stuck up on the language. Make sure that the message of Imam Hussain goes forward so that it stays forward. What language it goes in, it doesn't matter. The language that was... Did you ever imagine if you had the ability to bring your great-grandfather up here to this majlis, and if he heard the majlis being recited in English, he would say, you go low, become kafir. Right? That was the feeling like that. So don't worry about language. Things evolve over time. The message of Imam Hussain must remain. Very, very important. Salawat. Today as we look around and we see the Muslim world is in total turmoil. Everywhere you look, there is trouble. Everywhere you look, there is no more Dalil Qaum than Musliman. Right? Today, everywhere you see the name, the moment you say Muslim, you ask a group of students today about what do you think of Muslims, the first word that comes into their head is terrorists. Right? This is what it is. So we are everywhere, we see that, and we look around and we always pray that may Allah hasten the appearance of our Imam and bring us peace and stability. Let us all together recite dua for Imam. Allahumma salli ala Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala alihi fi hadhihi as-sa'a وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا معينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. So we ask for the appearance of our Imam. How much do we know about our Imam? That is the question that I want to share with you. From the Quran today, just want to present some thoughts for you today. There is not enough time to be able to go through everything that I have for you, but whatever we can squeeze in, I will. The idea is that we try and get this ma'rifah our Imam, and we can go and look for it and try and understand who this person we call on is all about. Very important. The concept of Mahdi, if you look about in the books, you will see that they mention the concept of Mahdism is universal across all Muslims, and in fact across all religions. The idea that somebody who is a savior will come and save humanity from the atrocities that it is finding itself in. And what you see now is still not quite there. It is going to get even worse before it gets better, inshallah. And we hope that it will get better. The books say the concept. What is a concept? Concept means it's an idea. Today you have a desire to have a house. The concept in your mind is, if the money is there, if the time is there, if you have all the resources and everything available, then this is the house that you will have. It will be a 2-acre lot, a 10-bedroom house, a swimming pool, a this, that, whatever your heart desires, that is a concept. Right? That is an idea that is in your mind. We say that the idea of Mahdism is not a concept, it is a reality. It is a reality, it already exists. It is not something that is far-fetched. Others might think it is far-fetched. We say no, it is already here. And today, for the next few minutes, I just want to use the Quran, no ahadith, just the Quran, because whenever we mention something, I show it in the Quran. So today we will show you from the Quran what is it that the idea of Mahdism is alive and what the questions that are raised are there. Just some background first. When we celebrated the 15th of Sha'ban a couple of months ago, We celebrated the 1180th birthday, lunar birthday of our Imam, and 1145th solar year of this birthday we did. And when we talk about this one, the situation about the birth of the Imam is similar to the situation of the time of Musa alayhi salam. You know, when Musa alayhi salam was about to be born, there was this idea of Fir'aun knew about somebody who was going to overthrow him, so he had ordered all the male children to be killed. And Allah in His own wisdom made sure that Musa was born and was raised in the house of Fir'aun. When Allah wishes something, nobody can stop it. You plan and Allah plans. Allah is the best of planners. Right? So the situation was the same in the time of the 12th Imam. That is why Imam Hassan al-Askari was called from Medina to Samarra. This Samarra, current Samarra, he was called there and kept under house surveillance. Not only was kept under house surveillance from the outside, women spies were sent into the household to work as maids and so on and so forth to ensure, to find out if any of the wives of the Imam was expecting. The Khalifa at the time, Mu'tamad, was there, was afraid. He knew about what was going to happen, so he was afraid for himself, so this is what he did. And now what I'm telling you is recorded from Janabi Hakima Khatun, who was the sister of the 10th Imam, the auntie, the puppy of the 11th Imam, and she's recording that she came to visit the 11th Imam in Samarra from Medina. And she wanted to now go back before Maha Ramadan, back to Medina, because everybody likes to spend their Maha Ramadan in their own hometown. And 11th Imam says, Puppy, don't go. For a Hujjah of Allah is going to be born very soon. And the Puppy turns around, Fatima Khatun turns around and says, my son, who is expecting? There is no asar of any pregnancy that you are talking about. Who is expecting? Imam smiles and says, Allah's will is going to happen. Puppy, stay. So she stays behind. She is now recording that the 14th day comes along, and the night of the 15th comes along. Right? 15th Shaban comes along, and she is now sharing the room with Janab Nargis Khatun. Books call her Nargis, some call her Sozan, but Nargis is the one that is commonly known as the mother of the 12th Imam. And she says that it is now time for Salatul Layl. So she wakes up. She wakes up for Salatul Layl, Nargis Khatun wakes up for Salatul Layl, they are pray Salatul Layl. Now very quickly it is now coming time for Fajr. So a thought crosses her mind. A thought crosses her mind saying, did I mishear my nephew? That he said that somebody, the Hujjah of Allah is going to be born tonight. Did I mishear or something? And the voice from the next room comes, oh my aunt, do not doubt. For whatever Allah wills is going to happen. This is the thought that comes to her mind, and Imam can read your thought. Imam has control over all our feelings, everything. Remember that. But as soon as it was close to Fajr, suddenly the status of Janab Nargis Khatun starts changing, and she experiences pain. And Imam Hakima Khatun says she found out that she was expecting now, so she helped out. And at the time of Fajr, the 12th Imam is born. Very few people knew about the birth. Very few people. Allah kept him in hiding. And then the first time the public knew about his birth and that he was already born was when the 11th Imam was poisoned and his namaz-e-janaza was late. Namaz-e-janaza was late. Now you know that the right of to lead Salatul Janaza is of the son, the eldest son. If I die, my son has the right. We, out of respect, ask Maulana to lead the namaz, right? And if you observe, you will observe. Next time you go for a janaza, observe. Maulana will turn around to the son and say, do I have your permission? Yeah? Do I have your permission? He will not just go ahead and recite Salatul Janaza. He will ask for permission. So everybody knew that the Imam had no son. So Imam's brother was called Jaffer. Jaffer al-Qaddabi is known as, right? He was one of those that were not on the right side. He was one who, step forward, being the only heir, so to speak, stepped forward. As he was about to start the salat, the door opens and a young boy, 4.5-year-old, walks and says, uncle, move away, this is my right. This is my right. At that time, Jaffer did not even know. That is why, at that moment, the people realized that the Hujjah of Allah is already here. So therefore, now let us look at some ayats of the Quran to show. I've given you some background so you are aware. Now let us find out from the ayat of the Quran. We have already agreed that the Imam is already here. We have no doubts about it. But let's look for those that are asking that, yeah, he is yet to be born. In Surah Qadr, Surah 97, what do we say? تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ. Right? That on the night of Qadr, the angels descend with the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? If the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends on the nights of Qadr, do the angels look, when the angels are coming down with the orders, amr means order, orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they come down to the earth, there has to be a recipient of the order. The angels are not using this world as a trampoline and bounce back and say, Allah, you gave us all these orders, there is nobody to take them, so we take them back. No. When the amr of Allah comes, there has to be a sahibul amr to accept it. Subhanallah, subhanallah. So there is a hadith from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. He says that when you want to prove the existence of your Imam, that he already is here, use this ayat of the Quran. Surah 97, ayat number 4. تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ. When the Amr comes, there has to be a recipient, a Sahibul Amr. That is why the Imam is known as Sahibul Amr. Right? So this one is an argument that you can present for a very decisive argument from the Quran. The next question is, how can a 4.5-year-old child become an Imam? How many 4.5-year-old children that we know who can think beyond toys, right? And cars and so on and so forth. So let us again look at the Quran and try and prove it from there. That Allah keeps a system, but when He wants to do something different, He can do it. Who is there to tell him? Who is there to tell him, no, you can't do it? He has a system, but He changes the system when He chooses to. Allah gives wisdom and prophethood to whosoever He wishes. In Surah Maryam, Surah 19, ayat number 29 to 31. When Maryam alayhi salam, who was from a very pious lady, known in the public as a very pious lady, gets this child called Esaal-e Salam born up there, the elders of Bani Israel come. The elders come and say, Maryam, what is this? You come from a noble family, and this? Where did this child come from? Maryam was told, don't talk. Don't talk. Don't say anything. What does the Quran say? وَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. She pointed to the child. So the looks on the faces of the Bani Israel was, Maryam, first you come with this, next you are telling us to look at the child. What's wrong with you? Right? If words could, if faces and expressions could say, these were the words that were being said, right? And so, وَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. When they did this and they said, what is this? That is when Isa, he was 3 days old. 3 days. قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب فجعلني نبيا. قال إني عبد الله, verily I am a servant of Allah. He has given me a book, آتاني الكتاب فجعلني نبيا, and He has appointed me a prophet. Yeah. He said this. When Isa alayhi salam speaks these words, what happens? That the Bani Israel realize that a miracle is unfolding before them. They didn't ask Maryam anymore, what is this? They realized this one, what did Isa do? Isa protected the integrity of his mother and announced his prophethood all at the same time. He did all this at the same time, and did they ask again? He was 3 days old. Allah can make a child at 3 days old from, He can't make a 4.5-year-old. What is so difficult to accept? Right? Anyway, let us go on. In Surah Maryam, again, Surah 19, ayat number 12, Allah says, Ya Yahya, khudil kitaba biquwwa, wa ataynahu al-hukma sabiyya. And we say, oh Yahya, hold fast to the book, and we gave him wisdom while yet a child. Allah says He gave Yahya wisdom while yet a child. So we can see these two ayats from the, and also you will remember that recently, about maybe 10-15 years ago, there was a child about 6 years old from Iran, right? He had mastered the Quran. He had memorized the Quran, and there is a system during the time of Hajj, during this time, that all Qari al-Quran are invited by the king of Saudi Arabia to visit him in Makkah, where they recite the renditions. This boy goes there. He's only 6 years old. So he recites the Quran, he's Hafid al-Quran, and he recites the Quran, and all the sheikhs and everybody, the ulama, they test him in various ways, and they're totally satisfied. At the end, the king says, "Oh, my son, you have impressed me considerably. What shall I reward you?" Look, you are in the darbar of a king, eh? You can get millions, no problem at all. What does this child say? He reads from the Quran, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا Tell them, O Prophet, I want nothing from you except the love of Allah. Can you see? Can you see when the ma'arifah of this one? How did the child, I mean, look, here he was reciting the Quran. Yes, that part was good, no problem. But he could easily have moved and says, I need toys or I need all this. But he recites from the Quran and says, tell them, O Prophet, I want nothing from them. Not only that, this is something we heard about. But when we were here about 15 years ago or so, we were at Kennedy Road. For those that were around those days, those 3 Waziri kids that had come. You might remember, 3 Waziri kids who had come, they were all Hafiz al-Quran. 15. The boy was 15, the girl was 13, and the younger one was 10 years old. And they could recite the Quran by heart. Not only that, the father would test them, they could recite anyway. He would just read an ayat of the Quran, and they would carry on from there. They didn't have the Quran in front, they would do that. Not only that, they could read it in reverse also. So if our children can do this, what can the hujjat of Allah? Now is the most contentious issue that would be raised. How is it possible that a person can live to be 1,180 years old? Right? Just say lunar years and 1,145 years. Today, if you are 100 years old, well, expect a card from the Queen and a call from the Prime Minister. A happy birthday to you, and assuming you are senile enough to understand who's on the phone. Right? At 100 years old. 60, 70, 80, alhamdulillah, everything is a bonus after that, right? But if you live to be 100, so we can't think beyond 100, 1,100 years old. How is that possible? Right? Valid question to us. Again, let us look at the Quran. Surah Ankabut, Surah 29, ayat 14 to 15. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ فَلَبِثَ فِيهِمْ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ إِلَّا 50 عَامًا. Verily we sent Nuh to his people, and he lived with them 950 years. Then the deluge engulfed them while they were evildoers. Then we delivered him and those with him in the ark and made it a sign unto the worlds. Noah lived with the people 950 years before the flood. Allah doesn't talk about how many more years he lived after the flood. The history, when you look at history, it says Noah lived for 2,500 years. 2,500 years. 950 is before the flood that is being mentioned, right? So Nuh alayhi salam, in Surah Kahf, Surah 18, ayat number 18, the people of the cave Surah Kahf, the people who lived there, these were 7 people and their dog. They were honorable people. They could not stomach the oppression of the people of the time, and they go into this cave and they pray to Allah to save them from this one. And Allah decides to keep them alive for 300 years. 300 years. And then one day they wake up and they go into the town. They go into the town because they are hungry, right? You wake up, you are hungry, you need breakfast. So they went out for there and they go in, and the people of the town are looking at them funny. Who are these old people, shaggy beards, all these growing up here looking all funny and so on? And they didn't say anything. They asked for bread, they were given bread. Then they took out money from their pocket. When they gave them money to the book, they said, what currency is this? This currency does not exist. This currency existed 300 years before. This is how they realized that they were sleeping for 300 years. What does Allah say? وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينَ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ. And we kept them alive by turning them right and left. When you toss and turn, it is away, in Allah keeps you alive. If you stop tossing and turning, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Yeah. This is how Allah keeps us alive. So Allah says Allah kept ordinary people, mu'mineen, alive for 300 years. He can't keep his hujjah alive. Why is it so difficult for us to accept that one? And then the final one, if you don't accept all this, what does Allah says in Surah Yasin, Surah 36, Ayat 60? Alam ahad ilaykum ya bani adama an la ta'budu ash-shaytan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. Did I not take a promise from you that you shall not worship the shaitan? Verily he is your avowed enemy. You shall not worship the shaitan. You worship somebody who is alive, not somebody who is dead. Right? That means shaitan is alive, and according to other ayats of the Quran, shaitan is alive. Shaitan was there before Adam was created. If Allah can keep his enemy alive, he can't keep his hujjah alive. Subhanallah. Why is it difficult for us Muslims to accept that one, right? It is pretty normal. Nothing special about that one that you do not. And then if you look further in history, you will see that Esaal-e-Sawab was crucified. They say he was crucified and he died. We said no, he was raised to the heavens. He is over 2,500 years old. Khizr and of Musa, he is alive. Idris is alive. All these prophets are alive. There are 4 prophets who are alive. And you can see all these are there, that Allah chooses whatever He wants. When He decides something, there's no mashwara that He has to take from anybody else. He doesn't need my advice or my opinion or so. He decides what He decides. When He decides, that is it. It is final. So Allah has chosen to keep His hujjah alive, and there should be no difficulty for us to be able to accept that. So the Shias were being prepared for the ghaibah of the Imam from the time of the 10th Imam. Its ghaibah did not all of a sudden come out of the blue and say, Imam is going into ghaibah. No, it was being prepared from the 10th Imam. How was it being done? Today, if the Imam was alive, if we had access to the Imam, so to speak, Imam is alive. If we had access to the Imam, we would go and visit him. Right? We would go and visit him, and because it is an honorable occasion, it is an occasion, not only will I go, I will take my son and I will take my grandson also together with me, right? And all those in my family who are able to travel, but I make sure that they have the ziyarah of the Imam, right? That they can go and visit. We would do that. This is what the old people in the past also used to do. When you go and meet a noble personality, you don't go alone, you take your family along with you so that you have the chance to see them. So it is reported that in the past, what people would do is when people would come and visit the Imam, Imam would sit with them, talk to them, they would see him, and they would go away. Now, during the time of the 10th Imam, what he started doing was he would suddenly drop a curtain. Suddenly he's talking to me, and he would drop a curtain. Now he is behind a curtain. You can hear him, you know it is him, but you can't see him. So people started complaining. Said, Mawla, why? Why are you dropping? We came to do your ziyarat. Why are you dropping this curtain? He says, I am training you for the opportunity. Day will come when when your Imam will be in ghaibah. Do not say your Imam does not exist. So I go there. I have great difficulty accepting this idea. Right? My son is there. He's been with me a few times, so he sees the Imam. He doesn't see the Imam. He can okay. My grandson, to him, he's a little kid. He comes along. He sees all this. Yeah, the Imam is there. I don't see him. The women have less difficulty accepting this because they never see the Maulana. When the Majlis is being recited, they don't see the Maulana. Now we have TV, so they see it. But many times they just hear, right? So they don't have that much difficulty as we men have. So the Imam would train them. So now imagine a time goes by, right? When a time goes by, Imam has gone into ghaibah. I have already passed away. My son is an old man. He's probably passed away also. My grandson is now grown up. He's as old as I am. He had went and visited the Imam when the Imam was behind the curtain. And he's been told the 12th Imam is in ghaibah. He says, yeah, no problem. So what's the big deal? Can you see the training process that took place, right? From the 10th Imam, then the 11th Imam. And when the 12th Imam came, there was 2 periods of ghaibah, Ghaibat-e-Sughra and Ghaibat-e-Kubra. Ghaibat-e-Sughra was about 69 to 70 years old, where the Imam could be seen and could not be seen, right? He would be there with the people and he would not be with the people. And what he did during that time, he appointed 4 Nawab, 4 Safirs or 4 ambassadors, one after the other, who were basically your source through which you visited with him. Right? You had to deal with them. They collected the homes, they collected the questions, and so on and so forth. These was the 4 Nawab that went. After that one, when the last Safir was in his time, he receives a letter from the Imam. He receives a letter from the Imam. He says, "Oh Muhammad bin As-Samari, you have 6 days to wind up your affairs.
Allahu Akbar.
6 days to wind up your affairs. Wind up your affairs and tell the people that I am now going into Ghaibat al-Kubra and I will appear only on the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If anybody tells you that he communicates with me, he is a liar.
Liar.
If anybody says he has meetings with me and communicates with me and so, he is a liar. I may visit. You may realize, you may not realize, that is another subject, but not that you say, I have access to the Imam. No, nobody will have access until such time. Look at the character of the Safir of the Imam. This last Safir. All of them has plenty of, there's a whole majlis for all the 4 Safir, but just one. He is told you have 6 days. If you are told you have 6 days to go before you are dying, what will be your state? Think about it yourself. He maintained his composure, wound up his affairs, and on the 6th day he passes away. Imam goes into Ghaibat al-Kubra, which is what is it? What is our responsibility during the time of Ghaibat al-Kubra? The biggest responsibility that we have is intidhar, to expect his arrival. We say wa'ajjal farajahum every day. After every salawat we say wa'ajjal, may Allah hasten his appearance. Is the Imam expecting us, or are we expecting the Imam? We all like to say that we are expecting the reappearance of the Imam. Imam is saying, no, be prepared in the way that I want you, then I will come tomorrow. Okay? We all say, but what does it mean to us? It means sometimes nothing. It means nothing. We just say it for the sake of saying it, but do we really know? Ghaiba does not mean that the Imam is in some faraway place and he doesn't know what is going on and all that, and he's in a cave and all that. No. Ghaiba is an active mode. When your son or your daughter goes to university, when your son or your daughter goes to university and you drop them off at university, you don't say, oh, good riddance, go on now, khalas, ek gaya, kitne baat. Yeah? No. The room is intact. The room is there, they know they will come. You expect that on Friday they might come over the weekend, or if they are far away, they will come over a certain weekend and so. You expect them to come back on a regular, the room stays there. The other siblings might say, Baba, bhai gaya, mujhe de do kamra. No, none of that business, right? You say, no, this is my son's place. He stays there until such time that he's married and leaves me. That's another story, but until such time. So you are expecting. When the mother knows that the son is coming home, she makes good food, whatever the boy or the girl loves, right? You make sure that they are coming after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. So there is an active mode. Likewise, when we expect the Imam, intidhar means an active mode of intidhar. We expect. We do everything for the sake of the Imam. In his name, we are conscious of him at all times. We are not oblivious of him. That is something that we have. The hadith of the Prophet says, Man mata walam ya'rif imam zamanihi mata mitatan jahiliya. If a person dies without recognizing and having the ma'rifah of the Imam, he dies like the one who died during the period of Jahiliyyah, before he became Muslim. Right? So very, very important that we understand him. So what does this mean? It is the idea, active intidhar means the idea of mawadda. Right? قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. That, O Prophet, tell them I want nothing except the love of my children. What does this word mawadda mean? Mawadda essentially, very simply, in 2 sentences only means, I do not count. I do not count. What is the object of my love want from me? The object of my love is the one that counts. My object of my love is my Imam. Therefore, what does he expect of me? What I want is immaterial. It is not of any importance or any consequence. What is important is what my Imam expects from him. This is mawadda.
Subhanallah.
This is mawadda. My ego does not exist. My Imam tells me jump, I say how high. This is where we really need to be at. There is a story about Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, that one day he was passing through the desert and he sees an ant, a little ant, moving a mound of sand from one place to another place. So Dawood looks at this and observes this one, that he says, this mound is so big. How can this ant move there? So he prays to Allah and says, Ya Allah, explain to me the ma'rifah of this one. When he does it, Allah answers his dua and the ant starts talking and says, Ya Nabi Allah, what is it that you want to ask? And he says, you are moving this sand from here. What is this that you are doing? He says, the object of my love, the one that I want to get married, has asked me that she will only marry me if I move this mound of dirt from here to there. This is what the object of my love wants. So Dawood alayhi salam says, "O ant, your lifetime will go multitude of times. You will not be able to move this. You are moving one grain at a time. This is a mountain of a grain." He says, "I know. I will die before I do that. But simply just the task of going through that process so that I can meet my love, the hope and the hope of that one is sufficient for me. I know my life will go away, but this is where we want to be. Our love for our Imam is whether I am alive or not. I want to make sure that the Imam is pleased with me. And the hadith says that inshallah, if you will die with the hope of the Imam and to work with the Imam, you will be raised amongst those who will be obedient. We have that hadith up there. So this is something that we have there. Sayyid ibn Tawus, he was one of the great Shia personalities of the 7th century. He writes in his wasiyah to his son regarding the responsibilities towards the Imam. He says, give priority to Imam's needs before asking your request. Think of the Imam first before asking for yourself. Donate sadaqah and charity for his glorious being before you do for your own self or for your family. And offer du'as for him before remembering yours. In short, on all your good and recommended deeds, give priority to the pious and precious being, because this attracts the attention of the Imam towards you, and he will increase his generosity and kindness upon you. Think of the Imam at all times. The valid question to ask is, does the Imam need all this from me? No, he doesn't. He doesn't need it. It is for us. This is where I connect with him. This is where I know now, this is my focus. This is where I am zoned in. This is where I want, this is the one I want to please. Everything that I do is for his benefit. And when we do that, I connect with him. Then all the ancillary stuff that diverges away from me from the right path will go away. I will stay focused on that one, and I will be constantly with him. This is something that we are focusing our attention to for the Imam. Now, just finally, there is so much more to say, but I don't have enough time. Is it possible to see the Imam? Is it possible to see the Imam? It is said that the Imam can be seen at 3 times. He meets a believer on 3 occasions. One, at the time when you are in trouble. When you are in trouble, call on the Imam. Call on the Imam with every sincerity, he will come. Whether you recognize him or not, or call it a coincidence or this or that or whatever, that's another story. But call on him, he will come. He will come up there. He is present at every Hajj. He is now gone for Hajj. Judge will tell you, I was stuck here, this happened to me, that happened to me, and suddenly out of the blue, this guy came and helped me out, and so on and so forth. We can see this aspect of it, and he attends the funeral of every mu'min and mu'minah, provided that the mu'min or the mu'minah who has passed away has no religious obligations on him. All his account is clear. His namaz is complete, his rozas are complete, his homes, zakat, all that he has done is clean. Imam inshallah will attend. And if Imam attends my funeral and puts his hand on my qabr and says, Allahumma afwaka afwaka, Allah bless me, what more do I want? What more do I want? You think his dua will not be accepted? Of course it will be accepted. So yes, Imam can come to our call on him. Why do we need to go far? Why do we need to? Recently, a group of people have gone to Iraq to Samarra. And the Kafla had been split up, and they, for whatever reason, they could not make it to Majlis Esaal on time or so. And there was a few of them could not make it, so about 10 or 12 of them decided to go the following day up there. So they arrived at Majlis Esaal. Now Majlis Esaal, for those of you who have gone, and may Allah grant everybody the opportunity to go there, inshallah. When they arrived there, the masjid was closed. And the guards out there, so they talked to the guard and says, please allow us to go in. Please allow us to go in. We'll say Amal 1 hour and we are out. He said, no, come back tomorrow. So now they are discussing what to do. So they said, okay, if they are not allowing us inside, we'll just do the Amals outside. We will do the amals outside, and then we will go away from here. So they were debating. The amals are about a few hours, a couple of hours or so, and in the amals there is salat to be prayed every little while. Salat to be prayed. So they agreed that okay. Some they were arguing. They were arguing that okay, let's do all the ziyarat up here. We will go and pay the salat at home because there is no place up here. So while they were discussing all this, out of a sudden from the Sahara comes a Sayyid. He walks in towards them. So one of them moves forward, says, Ammu, can you lead us in this? He says, Bismillah. So they said, what about the salat? Can we pray? He said, no, we will do all the amals up here. We will pray the salat and everything. So he led them in all the salat and everything, and then as soon as it finished, everything was done. They stopped forward to thank him and tell him for the du'as and so on. They could not see him anymore. There was no cars out there. There was nothing. It was an open Sahara. They did not know how he came and how he left. They had no idea whatsoever. This is just 2 years ago. This is just 2 years ago. And there are many examples that you will hear from people. Talk to the Zawar sometimes. If you get a diversion slightly, when you get the opportunity to go for ziyarah, go. Don't think twice. Don't think twice. Take your children also. Take your children. Allah will bless you with barakat, inshallah, in money and all that. Go there. Why do we go for ziyarah? Simply, when Imam Hussein salam on the day of Ashura says, Hal min nasirin yansurna, hal min mughithin yughithuna. Is there anybody to come to my house? Is there anybody to come to my sister? We were not alive. We were not alive. We were in Alam al-Arwah. Right? We were there in Alam al-Arwah. We say Labbaik Ya Hussein there. We say Labbaik Ya Hussein there. But when we go for ziyarat, we are saying, Ya Hussein, I say Labbaik there. I'm coming to renew. I'm coming to renew. That is what ulama says. That is why you go for ziyarat. Don't look after. Get an opportunity. Don't think twice. Go. May Allah grant us all the opportunity to get there, inshallah. In this book, Elixir of Love, Elixir of Love is a very easy. Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat, the story about Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat, who was a very spiritual person. He says, he writes a couple of examples. There's many more examples, but just a couple to share with you. He says that there were 2 shopkeepers in the mahalla where the Sadat lived. And they decided that there was a family out there that was very poor, Sadat family that was very poor. And they say, Allah has blessed us, we will take care of their needs, their regular needs. So they decided between these 2 shopkeepers. One day, in the middle of the night, one of the sons comes and knocks at one of the shopkeepers' doors. He says, my mother is asking, can she have a bar of soap? This man was asleep or so, and he was in a bad mood. He says, why you come to my house? Why can't you go to the other shopkeeper? They had agreed. The family knew, so anyhow. So he goes away. Whether he gives him or not, the book doesn't say. This man is relating that in the middle of the night, I was fast asleep and somebody knocked on the door. When he knocked on the door, I thought maybe I'm just hearing sounds. So I didn't attend to it. Next time round, the door knocked again. It was insistent. So I said, somebody must be out there. So I woke up, I was half awake now, but I ignored it again. Third time round, it was there, and he called me by name. So I came down of my house and opened the door. In front of me, I saw a man covered, his face was covered, and he tells me, oh Sheikh, we can take care of our children, but we want to grant you the honor of doing it. We want to grant you the honor. Imam is telling him that Sadat are my children. I can take care of them, but I'm making you the Tariqah to take care of them so you can get closer to me. Right? This is something. Finally, you want to see the Imam? Read the ayat of the Quran I read before. Surah number 17, ayat number 80. Surah Bani Israel, ayat number 80. وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَدْخِلْنِي مُدْخَلَ صِدْقٍ وَأَخْرِجْنِي مُخْرَجَ صِدْقٍ وَاجْعَلْ لِي مِنْ لَدُنْكَ سُلْطَانًا نَصِيرًا. Say, O my Lord, let my entry be by the gate of truth and honor, and likewise when I leave by the gate of truth and honor, and grant me from your presence an authority to aid me. Mufassirin say with this authority we are talking about Imam Maulana Haider Jaffar. Recite this tasbih 100 times every day for 40 days, and inshallah you will meet the Imam. Whether you recognize or not is another story. Right? It is another story. And this one, he says that there is a man who decided that he wanted to see the Imam. He said he wanted to see the Imam, and he did this tasbih. He did this tasbih and he did not see the Imam. So he goes to the Sheikh, Rajab Ali Khayyat, and says, I did this amal 40 days, 100 tasbih. Try that. It's very hard to finish it off 100. You can go 10, 15, 20, 25, but to finish 100 is very difficult. But finish it off and try for 40 days, inshallah. So the Sheikh says that, this alim says, I did this one, I did not see him. So the Sheikh was very spiritual, Sheikh Rajab Ali Khayyat, he was very spiritual. He said, let me think about it. He pondered and he says, you remember when you were performing Salatul Maghrib in the masjid, after you finished, a Sayyid comes to you and tells you, you are wearing this aqiq on the left hand. Right? He was wearing an aqiq on, you're wearing this on the left hand. It is makruh to wear it on the left hand. You should wear it on the right hand, on the second finger. This is where you wear your aqiq. He says, yes. And you replied, the makruh is allowed. It is not haram. He said, that was your imam. That was your imam. You did not have the ma'rifah to recognize him. That was your imam. So yes, the imam can come. He can come. If we believe in him and we have that within us, call on him. We don't need to go any further. We have all the tools available to us. If only we open our minds and our hearts, we will find that we can be there for him. Finally, if there is still doubt, in this idea and so on and so forth, then the ayat of Surah Rum, the last ayat of Surah Rum, what does Allah says? فَاصْبِرْ إِنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ وَلَا يَسْتَخِفَّنَّكَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُقِنُونَ. So patiently persevere, be patient. For verily the promise of Allah is true, nor let those shake your firmness who have no iman. So if we have iman, let them say what they want. What difference does it make? Sunnah sabki karna man ki. Right? I believe in my imam. You don't want to believe? Okay. Tum tumhare kaam, hum hamare kaam. Why is it bothering you that I believe in my imam? Why does it bother you? I believe in my imam. I know he is there for me. I know he will be there up there for me. Why would I not accept him? Right? So this is something that we can. What do we say in Dua al-Nudra? Aina talibu bidamil maqtuli bi Karbala. Where is the investigator of the blood of the martyrs of Karbala? We are there doing intidar of our imam that he may come. He may come and take revenge on those that did the atrocities in Karbala. To talk about Karbala is very difficult. But to talk about the women of Karbala is even more difficult. It is even more difficult up there. Today I just want to share with you some masail about Sakina, the daughter of Hussein. Imam Hussein alayhi salam loved Sakina considerably. Sakina would not sleep until she slept on the chest of her. She would not. Imam Hussein is reported to say a house is not completed there is a Sakina. So the muhabbat that we have, fast forward to the day of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is there. What happened from the day starts? One after the other. When the time of Abbas comes, Imam does not allow Abbas to go. He says, go Abbas and get fetch water for Sakina. Sakina comes to Imam Hazrat Abbas comes to Sakina and says, oh my daughter, my father has permitted me to go. Sakina gathers all the children up there and says, my uncle is going to get some water. Whatever Abbas sets up is mine, nobody can defeat. Oh children, our class will be finished very soon. Only after a while, when the sound comes around, you come to the oh brother, after you're passing away, my neck is broken. And Sakina sees Abbas. The day of Ashura proceeds. Now is the final Hussein comes and says, Ya Zainab, Ya Umm Kulthum, Ya Raghab, Ya Sakina, Ya Alaykunna min salam. Oh Sakina, oh Raghab, oh Zainab, oh Umm Kulthum, oh Fitna, oh ladies. Final salam. Sakina comes out and says, Baba, you are planning to go? You are planning to go? He says, yes, my daughter, I have to go. They say, some ulama say, Sakina was Hafiz al-Quran. She sits on the lap of Imam and says, oh Baba, the Quran says, لِلْرِجَالُ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءُ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَا. For men, it is whatever they have earned. For women, it is whatever they will earn. For today, we see the men are going to earn. What about us women? Imam says, here is yatimi for you. Imam Hussain finally bids farewell. Imam bids farewell. He goes and the horse is now flying out. And the horse is not moving forward. Imam turns around and says, oh, Jana, final time I'm giving you. Let us go forward. No more after this. You don't need any more trouble. The horse, Jana, looks around. What does Imam see? Imam sees that Jana is holding the whole head of Zuljana. Oh, Zuljana, whoever has gone has not come back. Don't take my father out there. Finally, Imam comes out and says, oh father, please sleep on the ground. For I will not be able to sleep tonight. Imam finally bids farewell to Sakina. Muslim is relating that when the final call comes, Hussain has been killed in Karbala. Hussain is the people come with fire. He says, I watched the tent of Hussain. Suddenly a young girl comes out. She has fire on her clothes. I went forward, douse the flames. She looks at me and says, oh shit, you look at one who has some pity on us. You do when everybody here is very hard-hearted. Can you do something more for me? And says, what is it that you want? He says, can you show me the way to Najaf? Oh daughter, I want to go and complain to my grandfather. الذين ظلموا أهل بيت محمد أيهم إلهي بحق محمد وأنت المحمود. إلهي بحق علي وأنت الأعلى. إلهي بحق فاطمة وأنت فاطر السماوات والأرض. إلهي بحق الحسن وأنت المحسن. إلهي بحق الحسين وأنت قديم الإحسان. إلهي بحق 9 المعصومين من ذرية الحسن والحسين عليه السلام. Oh Allah, accept this ibadat of ours. Oh Allah, grant the thawab of this to the marhumin and Majlis Esaal-e-Sawab that we have organized. Grant them maghfirah, grant them a place amongst the masumin. Oh Allah, those that are sick, grant them shifa. Those that are distressed in whatever part of the world, in Iraq, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia, in Burma, wherever you look, the Muslim Ummah is in trouble. Ya Allah, hasten the appearance of our Imam and lessen their troubles. Ya Allah, give us the tawfiq to have ma'rifah of our Imam and to be able to be of assistance to him. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Rahim Allah man qara surat al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha. Say Ya Hussain, 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 Ya Hussain. मुसीबत की घड़ी और शाम के बढ़ते हुए साए मुसीबत की घड़ी
مصیبت کی گھڑی اور شام کے بڑھتے ہوئے سائے، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، تڑپتی رہ گئی ماں اور علی اکبر نہیں آئے، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، گزر جانا ہی لکھا ہے جوانی میں اگر یارا، گزر جانا ہی لکھا ہے جوانی میں اگر یارا، گزر جانا ہی لکھا ہے جوانی میں اگر یارا، گزرنے سے علی اکبر کے پہلے ماں گزر جائے، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، وہی اندازہ کر سکتا ہے درد قلب لیلا کا، وہی اندازہ کر سکتا ہے درد قلب لیلا کا، وہی اندازہ کر سکتا ہے درد قلب لیلا کا، نظر کے سامنے جس کے جہاں بیٹا زنا کھائے، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، جہاں کی لاش پیری میں اٹھانا ایک قیامت ہے، جہاں کی لاش پیری میں اٹھانا ایک قیامت ہے، جہاں کی لاش پیری میں اٹھانا ایک قیامت ہے، یہ دن اللہ دنیا میں کسی کو بھی نہ دکھلائے، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، سنبھل کر کھینچیے گا قلب اکبر سے سنا مولا، سنبھل کر کھینچیے گا قلب اکبر سے سنا مولا، سنبھل کر کھینچیے گا قلب اکبر سے سنا مولا، رج کر نوک نیزہ جگر باہر نہ آ جائے، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، مصیبت کی گھڑی، زمین تھرا گئی اکبر کا لاشا رکھ ریتی پر، زمین تھرا گئی اکبر کا لاشا बेकलाशा रख रेती पर हुसैन इब्ने अली जब शुक्र का सजदा बजा लाए मुसीबत की घड़ी मुसीबत की घड़ी मुसीबत की घड़ी मैं ज़ाकिर हूँ हुसैन इब्ने अली का ये दुआ कीजिए मैं ज़ाकिर हूँ हुसैन इब्ने अली का ये दुआ कीजिए मैं ज़ाकिर हूँ हुसैन इब्ने अली का ये दुआ कीजिए शरफ ये नस्ल से मेरी कयामत तक नहीं जाए मुसीबत की घड़ी मुसीबत की घड़ी मुसीबत की घड़ी
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليك يا رسول الله محمد المصطفى صلى الله عليه وآله السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى السلام عليك يا محسن الإسلام أبو طالب عليه السلام السلام عليك يا فاطمة بنت أسد السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى السلام عليك يا حسين الشهيد بكربلاء السلام عليك يا أصحاب الحسين وأنصار الحسين خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبي الفضل عباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وأختك زينب وكلثوم وبنتك سكينة وصغرى لعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا زين العابدين السلام عليك يا محمد باقر السلام عليك يا جعفر صادق السلام عليك يا موسى كاظم السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس وعنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرض الطوس يا علي بن موسى الرضا كن شفينا وشفي والدينا في اليوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليك يا محمد تقي السلام عليك يا علي النقي السلام عليك يا حسن العسكري السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الأسر والزمان العمان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان سيدي عجل الله تعالى فرجا وصحل الله تعالى مخرجا وظهورك وجعلنا من أنصارك وعوانك وشيتك ومحبيك ورحمة الله وبركاته